my teammates and the team. And defensively, just got put in a couple bad positions from the get-go. Little ticky-tack fouls. The referees were being very hard-cutted on the first half of the game, I think. And I got the worst end of the stick, or the short end of the stick, a couple times. That always, when you're in foul trouble, you always then more cautious. But got in foul trouble again, and every chance I got to get in the game. But it can only get better from now. So that's definitely a positive.
Dave?
Mark, did you come to LA with the expectation of starting, and what were those early conversations before you guys even got through training camp in terms of your role, and how do you see it moving forward?
There was no conversation, Dave. There was no conversation about me starting or coming off the bench or whatever. When you come to the team, at least in my position, my situation was to help in any way possible, and you put everything on the table. It's for them to tell me what my job is, and I'll work every day to improve that and be as productive as possible on both ends of the floor. Give guys confidence on the defensive end and knowing where I'm going to be at, helping everyone. And offensively, just making things happen, either me creating for myself or for someone else, setting good screens and creating space for the amount of talent that we have on the floor. So whatever coach decides, I'm fine, and I'll give my best. Definitely better than yesterday.
Bill?
Hey, Mark. You've obviously been part of a ring ceremony before. I'm curious what the experience was like for you to be a new guy who didn't get a ring. AD talked about how much getting it made him want another one. Was there anything about last night that fueled your fire? I mean, obviously you came into the season very motivated, but did that add to it in any way you weren't expecting?
Not really, because to me that was closure for them of last season. That to me was the end of last year for them to celebrate. I mean, obviously they didn't have a proper celebration of a ring, I think, as a team that you would expect with the parade, with all the fans, going places that you can let loose a little bit. But that was it. That was the end of last year for me, for them, obviously, and that's the way I looked at it. Always the first game, or that game was also hard for us when we played against the Pelicans opening night in Toronto. It's hard just because it's such a long day and emotional process. You wait, you stand around, kind of all smiles and memories, and all of a sudden, like, to reactivate your body and ready to play a game against a team that it's, putting you on obviously, you're a target for a lot of teams, but a team that's sizing you up and it's from the same city. So they were definitely ready, and you have all those emotions going through your mind. So it's not the easiest game to play. Also, I think I'm not going to say. I don't want to get fined. Never mind. Move on. Next.
Calhoun.
Hey, Mark. I have to say, after reading Bill's story today, I'm most curious to hear your recommendations for a visa once the pandemic is over. But,
Who's what? What?
Frank told us last night. He took some of that on his shoulders for your game yesterday. Said I didn't really put Mark in the position that he was in the preseason, being able to make plays. What does that do for you as a player, kind of getting to know a new head coach when he sort of owns that?
As a player, you have to read the game, and every game is different. So, I think obviously I'm foremost feel bad because we lost the game more than I play like not to my to the level that I should play, and I didn't get involved offensively and defensively. I was always in foul trouble, so that was tough. But I think I have to read the game, and there's games that we have great players, and teams are going to do different things. So I have to be involved in different ways. If I have to become more of a crasher and rebounder, that's so be it. I'll do my best possible job at rim running and creating and space and gaps for the guards to drive when you have Dennis and LeBron. Obviously, those big gaps can be very effective for them, and then spacing out to the corner, playing the dunker. I think you have to impact the game in different ways. There's only one basketball and 5 players out there. So trust me, it's okay. Like I'll find ways to impact the game, and I'll just get adjusted to that too, and keep playing the right way.
We're gonna take 2 more. Alice Lewin.
Hey, Mark, just noticing on the defensive side, when, you mentioned you get into foul trouble, you're not out on the court. Were there a lot of moments during the game that you can notice, I know if I'm in the game in this predicament, this situation, it can impact the entire game from a size perspective or whatever the case is. Were you noticing that because you were playing those little minutes? Just wanted to get your thoughts when you were on the bench.
I don't. My mind doesn't process that way. I always, whoever's on the floor, if I'm on the floor, I'm being very vocal to the guys, allowing them and letting them know what's behind them and where I'm at, helping them. And when, I'm not on the floor, I'm sometimes saying the same things or giving, the guys that are on the floor little cues, so they know what's coming, play calls and stuff like that. But I'm not, if I was there, what would happen? I don't think that's the best positive, mindset for the rest of the guys. But I just try to help them. If I'm on or off the floor, I'll always try to help the guys that are around me.
Jovan.
Hey Mark, as kind of a follow-up to that, you mentioned in training camp learning the terminology and how that's kind of a process. How comfortable are you with that right now, and kind of what are the final steps to finally
so terminology triggers movement, right? Like when you call something, there's a reaction from the guys around you, obviously. Reading those guys takes a little bit of time too. Knowing not every player reacts the same way or at the same time, right? So you have to understand who you're playing with, their tendencies, their body movement and body reaction, and tying it all up with your, reaction and movement. So I think, now we have the terminology on much more comfortable and familiar. Now is reading their movement and their reaction and their reads as well, because at the end of the day, you have to, we all got to be tied together. Not only the 2 guys, 3 guys, it's the 5 guys on the floor got to be tied and move at the same time. And that is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. We have guys that can, be a step ahead mentally and physically, or they can wait extra second to react because they're so long and athletic. I'm not one of those guys. I have to be a step ahead of the play. So that takes a second for it to happen, because I have to know, what's, put everything together from recognize what they're trying to run, recognize who they're running it for, their tendencies, our guy tendencies, and where I should be at that moment. So that process, mine